Picture this. You just got home. You've had an amazing day at work. Your boss called you into his office at the end of the day and he said, let's say your name's Jerry. He said, Jerry, I'm giving you a promotion. You're the right guy for the job. You've been working really hard. And not only that, I'm going to give you a $50,000 raise. And you're like, holy cow, this is amazing. This is such a good day. So you're like, okay, thank you, boss man. It means a lot. You're excited. You know that you're the guy for the job. You're excited to make stuff happen and make some, better money. So you go home and you're fired up. You drive home carefully enough. You get there and you tell your wife, you're like, hey babe, guess what? I got a promotion and I got a $50,000 raise. And she barely lifts an eyebrow. She's like, great, awesome. And you're like, hold on, this doesn't make sense. Babe, are you not hearing me? And she's like, babe, I heard you. Did you remember to get the dog food and the milk? And you're like, oh, no, I didn't do those things, but that's besides the point. Aren't you excited for me? She's like, babe, you need to do the things you say you're going to do. And in your mind, you're like, okay, she's just totally shitting on me. This doesn't feel good at all. And in her mind, she's like, he wasn't present. He was too excited and he wasn't present. And if this type of situation feels familiar, then maybe this one will as well. You're driving home from an event that the two of you were at, and you tell her about a big trip you're going to do. And you're all excited. You're like, babe, we booked the flights. My buddies and I, we're going to go to the Rockies and we're going to have a great time. And we're going to do these hikes and it's going to be so much fun. And she's like, is that the trip that you just mentioned the other day? And you're like, yeah, that one. I'm super excited. And she looks at you and she's like, well, what about me? And you're like, well, what about you? And she's like, are you going to take me on a vacation? What am I going to do while you're gone? And you're like, well, I didn't think about that, but we can figure something out. And then she starts getting more upset, saying, babe, how come you always do this? And you're like, okay, hold on. What's going on here? And you start getting defensive. You say, babe, I do all these things for you. I take care of this. I pay these bills. I always help with this thing. And you're getting defensive. Meanwhile, you're both getting triggered. She's upset. And you don't fully understand what you did wrong because you're trying to listen and fix it. Now, I share these scenarios because they're familiar to a lot of us men. And in this video, I'm going to break down 3 common mistakes that a lot of us tend to make that causes her to get frustrated and pushes her away from us. It hurts our intimacy when we don't do these things. And I'm also going to make sure that you understand how to do these things and improve your relationship without becoming a people pleaser or being a nice guy or giving up your sense of self. So if that sounds good to you, then let's dive in. Now, the first mistake that a lot of us make as men is that we don't fully consider her. And I'm not saying you don't wake up and you think about her and you say good morning. Those things are considerate. But what this really comes down to is when we make plans and we don't consider her and her needs, we are stuck in a sense of planning and providing for ourselves without fully understanding or considering what is she going to need and how is this going to make her feel. And this is why in the example that I gave, she got upset both times, is because you aren't considering her needs. You're too focused on yourself. And this is hard, right? It's hard to be constantly considering what she needs on top of what you need. And obviously that increases even more if you have kids or a dog or other responsibilities. But it's what is required for her to feel like she can really trust you, is you being present enough throughout the day that when you make big decisions, when you are planning things, when you are doing anything that's going to impact or influence her, you are thinking, how is this going to affect her? And what does she need right now? And so in the example of forgetting the dog food and the milk, it's pretty obvious. You were not present with remembering that she had asked you to do those things today, right? So the remedy is to be more present, to write it down, to set a reminder in your phone, to somehow make sure that even if something exciting happens, you don't get derailed from fulfilling the needs and being considerate of her. Now, in the second scenario, it's a little bit harder, but it's still very doable. And that is when you're planning something that's exciting for you, you check in with her before you do it. And you think about what she may need, or even propose some ideas, or think about what would be supportive for her while you were doing those things. And so it might have looked a little different, and you might have gone to her and said, "Hey babe, I'm thinking about doing this trip. I want to do it these dates or sometime in the summer. I want to make sure that that feels good for you before I book it. And I want to know, if you feel like you need anything that would make you feel like you're being supported while I'm gone. And if, you wanted to do a trip like that as well, or plan something for us so it doesn't feel like I'm just doing this for myself and not for you." Way better outcome. She's like, okay, he hasn't planned it without me. He's checking in. He wants to know how I feel. Awesome. So that wraps up the essence of point number 1, which is consider how you're going to make her feel. And the number 1 remedy to help you to do this is to become more self-aware and more reflective around her needs. You can do this through journaling. You can do it through waking up each day and asking yourself, how do I take care of her today? What is she going to need? And you can also initiate or schedule regular relationship check-ins to just ask her, hey, what do you need? Point number 2 is a lot of us get defensive when she starts to give us feedback. And what's really important here is to understand that when she gives us feedback, it's often going to feel like criticism. It's going to make us put walls up, or at least want to. And this is another area where we can grow and increase our capacity. And not just our mental capacity, but our nervous system capacity, our physical feeling capacity. So that when she says, hey, you didn't do the thing, or that's not what I wanted, or hey, I'm hurt by this, you don't start shutting down or feeling unsafe or saying I'm not loved. You stand in your power and you say, okay, let me listen to this and really try to understand what you need here, or what you're saying here. And that's hard, but it'll bring her way closer. Because when she feels safe in telling you the truth, and you don't get defensive and say, no, that's not fair, or no, you're not my mom, don't tell me what to do. And you just say, you know what, babe, there's validity to what you're saying. Give me some time. Let me sit with it. Let me feel into that. And I'm sorry. Just give me some space to reflect on it. She's going to feel way closer to you, because it means you listen to her and you're willing to grow. You're willing to mature through her feedback. And trust me, I know this is one of the hardest things for us to do as men, but it will bring her way closer, as I said. And the third piece here is to take full responsibility for how you make her feel. And so in these scenarios, the guy is getting upset. He's like, come on, you don't care about me? You don't care about my promotion? You don't care about my trip? That's not it. She would be excited for those things for you if you had taken full responsibility for how it makes her feel as well. And this is what I call shifting from me masculinity, leading, making plans, accomplishing things for yourself, to we masculinity, which is doing all those things, but with her in mind. And when she gets upset about something, when she says, you did this wrong, or she's giving you feedback, or she's complaining, you're willing to say, okay, I made her feel this way, or at least played a role in it. And you take responsibility for that and you say, I'm sorry. I realize that this is making you upset. I realize I did something wrong. I'm willing to be better. And it takes a lot of humility. It's not easy to do any of these things, like I said, but they all bring her closer, because these things are about you being a mature man who's willing to grow, who's willing to have a dialogue with her about your blind spots and your weak spots. And trust me when I say this is what so many women are looking for these days, is a man who can regulate himself so that he can stay calm and grounded and present with her and her needs and how you make her feel. It'll make her feel way more safe when you do those things. And I say regulated because in order to do these things, in order to show up in these ways, you got to work on yourself. And a lot of guys have never really heard of this, but the number one thing I recommend for increasing your capacity in these ways is embodiment work. And when I say embodiment, it's dropping from thinking and solving all these problems in your head about how to show up to actually also feeling, learning to feel your emotions more so that you can process them and not bring them into the relationship all triggered. It's doing meditation. I meditated for 30 minutes this morning. That's my consistent routine, is to meditate, to do yoga, to do breath work, because we open up our fascia and our nervous system and create capacity, and we process stuck tension and emotion. And when we do this on a consistent basis, we are embodied. We feel more grounded. We feel more confident. And then we're able to show up in these emotionally challenging conversations and situations and be way more aware and way more calm. And the final piece I'll speak to here on embodiment is when you meditate and when you journal, you deepen your capacity for self-awareness. You can see more. It's like going from 2D to 3D, and you're able to recognize, okay, there's something I didn't see before, but now I can see it. I'm more calm. I'm more present. There's more space within me. I can feel and see what's going on. And so that's my recommendation here. 1, think about her more. Be thoughtful. Consider her needs. Ask, what might she want me to do or consider before I go ahead and do this thing? Number 2, when she gives you feedback, listen and don't get defensive, but try to understand how she's making you better through this, how you can grow through her feedback. And 3, take full responsibility for how you make her feel. When she's upset, recognize that you did something or played a role in making her upset. Don't get defensive, but apologize. Try to understand. Take responsibility for what you can do to change. And when you do these things, it makes her feel like she can trust you. It makes her feel more safe. Now, the final note I want to add before I wrap up this video is to not be a people pleaser about this. The easy thing to do would be to say, okay, whatever you say, you're right. Yeah, okay, I'll just do it. Right? It's this avoiding of the truth so that you can be subservient and just make her happy. This is the old school happy wife, happy life aphorism that it's just not true, because if you're giving up that sense of self, you're not going to be happy. That's being passive. And eventually too much passiveness becomes aggression and the cycle starts all over. And so the challenge for us as men when we do this is to really be willing to face the discomfort that is required for the growth. And the more you meditate, the more you have some kind of embodiment practice, the easier that becomes. And when you do all these things, it makes her love you more, because it's about showing up as a mature man rather than in boy psychology. So I hope this video has been helpful. These concepts have certainly changed my relationship and my life. And if you want to learn more from me and hear me kind of riff and have these discussions, I invite you to follow my channel. Thank you.